Only this spot holds the most fish for summer wild fishing. They all say fishing resources are the top priority, but in a certain sense, the fishing spot should take the first place. Because we can't control the resources. If a place has few fish due to frequent electric fishing or netting, there's nothing we can do about it. Especially for those who have little time for fishing and can't go far, they choose fishing spots based on the proximity principle. However, the fishing spot is something we can choose freely. In places with poor resources, picking a good fishing spot is the key to success. If you find the fish path or fish nest, fishing for 1 or 2 hours may be equivalent to what others catch in most of the day. There are many optional fishing spots in summer, such as under the shade of trees, near bridge piers, downwind, etc., but there's only one type of spot with many fish that's easy to catch. For summer wild fishing spot selection, first consider the flowing water area. The best fishing spot in summer is where there's flowing water. For example, there are 2 rivers, one with still water and the other with flowing water for a long time. On the premise that the resources are not particularly different, you must choose the river with flowing water. Even if the still water river has slightly better resources, we still choose the one with flowing water. In the same river, sometimes half of it has flowing water and the other half doesn't, the other half may have slight backwater. At this time, we should also choose the side with flowing water for our fishing spot. If one side has fast flowing water and the other has slow flowing water, then choose the side with slow flowing water. So what if the entire river has no flowing water? Then look for large inlets and outlets. The opening should be large and the water flow should be strong. Large inlets and outlets have more dissolved oxygen, more food, and more stable water temperature, so there are more and more active fish. If you really can't find large ones, you have to look for small inlets and outlets. But if the weather is very bad, small outlets won't be good for fishing. 3 major advantages of flowing water areas. Why is it good to fish in flowing water areas? There are 3 advantages. First, there's sufficient dissolved oxygen, which everyone should know, so I won't go into details. Second, the temperature stratification between the upper and lower layers of flowing water is not obvious, which can largely prevent fish from rising to the surface and is certainly beneficial for them to bite. Third, when the water moves, the fish move too. The faster the water flows, the more active the fish are. The activity of fish means more fish will pass through our nest. In contrast, fish in still water areas are not that active. Unless the weather is good, they will only come during fixed windows. That is to say, the flowing water area not only has more fish but also has better biting activity. When fishing in the summer sauna-like weather, I think good biting activity is more important than having more fish. In fact, there's another advantage: the flowing water can bring more food. For example, when some small rivers and streams flow into large rivers, they will definitely bring a lot of grass seeds, insects, etc. These foods first attract small fish, with whitebait being the first. And when there are many small fish, they will attract large fish and some predatory fish. However, there's no particular lack of food in the water in summer, so this advantage is not prominent. How to choose spots in flowing water areas. Choosing a fishing spot is essentially about finding differences in the same environment. Look for flowing water in still water, and look for still water pockets in flowing water. If the entire river has flowing water and the current is relatively fast, then we look for bays, areas near obstacles where the water flow is relatively slow. When the water is flowing fast, don't rush to cast your rod when you get to the fishing spot. Walk along the river, and you'll find that some positions have changes in water flow due to the terrain. Slowing down is just one of them. There are also some places with backwater. For example, originally the water flows from right to left, but in this place, it flows from left to right. If you observe carefully, you'll find that there's an area in the middle where the water flow doesn't move much, and that's where the fish hide. In addition, in the case of flowing water, we don't need to fish too far or too deep. The faster the water flow and the more turbid the water, the closer the fish will be to the shore and shallow water. If you want to catch small crucian carp, or small whitebait, just use a 3.6 meter or 2.7 meter rod to fish close to the shore, near the water plants or big rocks. Fishing too far will result in no bites. To catch larger carp, grass carp, or topmouth coulter, you must use a slightly longer rod, but it should be shorter than the one you usually use. For example, if you usually use a 10-meter rod to fish 4 or 5 meters deep, when the water is flowing fast, a 7.2 meter or 8.1 meter rod to fish 2 or 3 meters deep is enough. The specific depth should be determined according to the water flow and water quality. Although the fish in flowing water areas are active, it's still not recommended to stay in one place. Even if you use corn as bait, you have to lift it up and cast it again from time to time to make it easier for the fish to find. In places with few fish, I suggest using commercial bait. It has a strong smell and can atomize, so fish will enter the nest faster. At worst, use commercial bait on one hook and corn on the other, with the former mainly for luring and the latter for catching. Author profile: I'm a self-media blogger who loves fishing and is good at sharing. Follow me, and we'll exchange fishing skills and discuss every bit of wild fishing for anglers. Give a like, collect, and follow so you won't miss the next update.